Hi, U9. Here's the first episode of the Financial Maths booklet answers. Okay, so hopefully you've got something that looks like this in front of you and you've attempted some answers. And if you're having troubles, then you can go along with me. Here we go. So I'll move to the first sheet. The first sheet says, nice and big so I can read it. Earning money. Some people work for themselves and charge a fee for their services or sell for a profit, but most people work for others to obtain an income. In the chart below, the main forms of earning an income from an employee are introduced. So we're looking at salary, piecework, casual work, commission and wages. So what you had to do here was you had to read page 70, I believe, from the textbook and find out what salary, piecework, casual work, commission and wages were. There is a definition there for you though anyway. A salary is a fixed amount that is paid for the year's work, even though it may be paid weekly or fortnightly. Piecework is when a worker is paid a fixed amount for each piece of work they complete. For example, if they make surfboards, every surfboard they complete, they make money. Casual means that you get a fixed rate and you're paid per hour, but you're not permanent. So you might not get like 8 hours a day. You might only get 2 or 3. Commission. This payment is usually a percentage of the value of goods sold. A commission is usually made by people who sell goods, like car salesmen, real estate people, the cosmetic girl at the cosmetic shop, things like that. Wages. Wages are usually paid weekly to a permanent employee based on an hourly rate for an agreed number of hours. That's, for your mechanics, a lot of your tradies, things like that. All right. So what you had to do is you had to work out some advantages and some disadvantages of each of these. So the first one was salary. So I'm going to go over the advantages and disadvantages of salary first. So the advantages of salary is you pretty much get this pay every week no matter what. Okay, so you'll get it all the time, and you'll get other things like sick leave, holiday pay. You get a lot of other extra benefits too, just in case. So if you're sick, you don't actually lose any pay. I'll write that in a minute. Disadvantages. You can't earn any extra money. All right, your pay is fixed at this amount, and it doesn't matter if you work more hours, you won't get any more money. So an example of this is teachers. And I can tell you right now, I work more than just what I do at school. Here we go. Piecework is the next one. Now, a piece of work is obviously a person who makes surfboards, okay? And however many surfboards they make, that's piecework. The advantages is that they can work their own hours if they want, if they have their own workshop. They can actually earn more as well as they keep making their product. So if they make more surfboards, they make more money. Disadvantages, well, if their product isn't popular, then they can't really sell it and then they won't make any money. So that could be a problem. Things like dressmakers and artists, okay? They get money depending on an artist, on whatever they sell, whatever piece they sell that they've made. Okay, so a casual person, their hours might be reduced. That's the problem with a casual, so you only work, as it says, casually. So the good thing about it is they can work whenever they want, but a disadvantage is that they don't actually receive any benefits like sick leave or holiday pay, and if they don't work, they don't get paid. And sometimes they can have reduced hours as well. Retail staff, swimming instructors, things like that. There's the sorts of people who might be paid casual. Alright, so the next one is commission. I think I already told you sales staff and real estate agents were some people who get a commission. And their advantage is if they sell more goods, they can actually make a lot of money. And it really helps to be a talker. So if you're good at talking, you should become a salesperson. Now, the other problem, of course, is if they're not very good at their job and they don't sell any product, then they only earn a very small base wage. Pardon me. Okay, so a wage is what lots of people get. People who get a wage are people like mechanics, nurses, lots of tradies tend to be on a wage, and they've got what's called an award amount, and they get a set pay that's agreed on by the government. Now, this is a pretty good one because they're pretty much guaranteed to receive their hourly wage, and they can work overtime to get more pay, so they can work on the weekends and actually get things like double pay and overtime, which we will talk about a little bit later on. There's some disadvantages is that they don't usually get paid for their lunch break. and this is the kind of wage that most people actually receive, okay? All right, so there's that page. Hopefully you've written some of those down. You can pause this video at any time and go back and write any of those down if you didn't get them. All right, so at the end of last term, we actually did profits, loss, markups, and discounts. This was exercise 2D, I believe. Okay, so this is really just a revision. I'm not going to go through this too much because we've kind of already done it, so let's just go through the answers and help you out. Now, once I've explained something, I want you to pause the video if you haven't had a go yet. So if you're watching this because you can't remember what to do, can you remember to pause when I've shown you how to do something? That would be fantastic. So the first one there is we're going to do this table, and we're practicing how to change a fraction to a decimal to a percent. So in red there I've got, remember, to change a fraction or a decimal to a percent, you multiply by 100. And if you want to go the other way, a percent to a fraction or a decimal, you divide by 100. Okay, so let's start with the first one. I'll make it nice and big so you can read my tiny writing. So fraction, we start off with 1/5 there. I'm going to push this down so you can't see it. So I want you to put 1/5 into your calculator using the fraction key, and then you press equals. Okay, then you press the fraction key again, or if you have a Casio, you press the S to D key just above the delete or the AC orange key, and it should change it to a decimal for you. So remember, your fraction key and your calculator does that for you. So if I go crossways, 1/5 should come up as 0.2 on your calculator. Okay, so now I'm going to use that information that I had at the top of the table. Now I'm going to change that to a percent. Now, changing anything to a percent, all you have to do is times by 100. Have a go at that now. Pause the video if you need to. Multiply 0.2 times 100, and you should get the answer, which is 20%. So there's that one. All right, next one. Next one starts here at 0.65. So I'm going to do that in a similar way to what was just above. So I'm going to go from the decimal to the percent first. And to do that, I do the same thing. I just times by 100. So have a go at that on your calculator if you haven't already. And 0.65 times 100 gives me 65%. All right, now that I've got that, I'm actually going to go backwards. And I'm going to use my 0.65 again. Now, I know the Casio does this. Not too sure if the Sharp does, so let's have a go. So put 0.65 in your calculator. I've written the instructions here for you. Put 0.65 in your calculator and press the equals to get it like down on the bottom of the screen. And then I want you to press your fraction key again, or if you've got the Casio, the S to D key. That should change it back to a fraction for you. And hopefully it changed it to 13/20. So that's that answer there. All right, now for this one over here, we start off with a percent, 5%. So we're going to go backwards. So see above 5%, we multiplied by 100 to get 65%. So since we're going the opposite way, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to divide by 100. So I'm going to go 5%, or 5, don't do the percent bit. I'm just going to go 5 divided by 100 on my calculator, and that gives me my decimal of 0.05. And then I'm going to use my fraction key again. So make sure you've pressed equals to get the 0.05. I'm going to press my fraction key or my S to D key, so this bit here, and I'm going to hopefully get that changed to a fraction for me. So remember, use your fraction on your calculator as much as you can, the fraction key. All right, next question is now in green. Question 2 says, mentally find 10% of $300 and use it to find the following. All right, so the first one, now I wrote this out because it's much neater if I write it out beforehand, otherwise it takes forever, so that's why. So to find 10% of 300, what you have to do is you've got to take the 0 off the end of 300. So you'll notice above I've written 10% therefore is equal to 30. So if you take the 0 off the 300, that's how you get 30. Now while I'm here, I'm going to do a little bit of a cheating thing. I know that 5% over here is half of 10%. So if I figured out over here that 10% was $30, then all I have to do to figure out 5% is halve $30. And when I halve 30 divided by 2 on my calculator, I get 15. Okay, so I've just done that for you already. So let's try the first one. First one is 20%. Well, we already worked out up here what 10% was, didn't we? 10% was $30. Now 20% is made up of 2 lots of 10, isn't it? So all I have to do there is take my $30 for the 10% at the top up here and multiply it by 2. Do that on my calculator and I get $60. Okay? Right, let's try 15%. Well, I know that the number 15 is made up of 10 plus a 5. So I'm going to take my two amounts up here that I worked out. 10% is 30, 5% is 15, and I'm just going to put those down here underneath the 10% and the 5%. You can do that and that will give you the correct answer. So if 10% is 30 and 5% is 15, then all I have to do is add 30 plus 15. So that's how I can do it mentally. And that equals 45. You can use your calculator if you know how to do it. 25. We are supposed to be doing these mentally though, don't forget. Okay. Ooh, I just stuffed that up. Sorry about that. All right, move this along. 25%. Well, you could think that 25 is half of 50. Now, most of you know that 50% is a half, don't you? So what's a half of $300 from the beginning of the question? A half is $150. So here it is there, okay? All right. Now, so 50% is $150 and 25% is a half of 50, then all I have to do is find a half of that $150. So a half times 150 on my calculator gives me, that's supposed to be 75 by the way, I think. Yes, that's supposed to be a 7. Let me get that in. 75. There we go. All right, didn't look right. Next one. Pardon me. 10% plus 10% plus 5%. So if you didn't like that half of 50%, excuse me, you could have done 25% is 10 plus 10 plus 5 and done 30 plus 30 plus 15 gives 75. Okay, you could have done that as well. All right, so up here now we have 35%. So all I've done there is I have decided that I've got 3 lots of 10% plus a 5%. So I've gone 3 lots of 30 plus 15 gives me 105%. And I've just used the 30 and the 15 from the top of the question. 50%, just like I said before, that means a half. So you could have just found a half of 300 if you wanted. Or you could have done that there that says 10%. So there's 5 lots of 10 in 50. So 5 lots of the 10% number 30 gives you 150. And 5% I already did up the top, didn't I? And we said that was $15. So there's your answers for those ones. Remember, pause at any time if you need to write something down or you want to have a go on your own. Same with these ones, okay? Once you know how to do it, please pause, have a go at your own, and don't just automatically copy my answers, all right? Quitties. All right, number 3 says increase $70 by 15%. So if you remember, we did this at the end of last term. You actually have to add 100% onto the percentage of 15, and then you're going to multiply by the number, the dollar number they give you. So you'll notice the first thing I actually do here is I do 100% plus 15%, and I get 115%. Now remember, 115% on your calculator is 115 over 100, if you can't remember how to use your percent key. So I now have to multiply 115% or 115 over 100 by the dollar amount, 70. Okay, so once I do that, it's in green there. 115 on 100 times 70 gives me my answer, which is $80.50. Okay, try the decrease. If you're not sure, keep watching for a little bit and just pause when you think you know what to do. So this time decrease means, if you remember, to subtract. So 100% minus 25% gives me 75%. So this time I've got to find 75% of my dollar amount, $7,000. So I've done it over here in green. So that means on my calculator, do 75 over 100 for 75% and times that by 7,000. On your calculator, you should get 5,250. Question number 5. This was all from 2D. We did this at the end of last term. Determine the profit made if a manufacturer produces an item for $300 and sells it for $425. So if you remember, I wrote it down for you. Profit is the selling price minus the cost price. Cost price was $300 up here. Selling price was $425. That's why I've got a CP and an SP there. Cost price, selling price. So all I have to do is subtract those two. That gives me $125. All right, same sort of thing here. Sometimes we can make a profit when we make money. Sometimes we make a loss when we lose money. So we're doing the same thing. We're going to do the buying price, $275, minus the selling price, $230. So this time, Sarah, now I'm only working out one ticket because it doesn't actually tell me how many concert tickets she purchased. So I'm just going to figure out her loss for one ticket. So I figured out that she lost $45 for one ticket when I subtract those two numbers. Question 7 says, Joe wants to buy a new TV that was originally $850. If it was marked up by 20%, what is the price Joe will have to pay for the TV? So it's saying that it came into the shop at $850, excuse me. Usually what happens is shops will put the price up a little bit so that they can make money and cover their rent and wages and stuff. So what you're actually doing is you're doing the price that they gave us, the cost price, $850, plus 20% of that particular amount. So we have to find 20 over 100 times $850. So when I do that, I actually get $170. So I have to add that on to the $850. So when I add those two together, I get $1,020. So the TV shop actually sold the TV for $1,020. Now the opposite of marking up is to discount. So Nick's Christmas Superstore is having a 30% off store-wide sale. If Tony wants to buy a new Christmas tree that says it is $135, what will she pay after the discount? So instead of adding, like in the markup, now we're subtracting. But again, you've got to find 30% of that $135. So I'm going 135 minus 135 times 30%. So you need to do that in brackets on your calculator. And I've figured out that the discount over here is actually $40.50. So I'm going to do 135 minus $40.50 to figure out her discount. So that means she only pays $94, and 50 cents. Okay, couple are left, and then I'll let you have a go. Number 9 says, an item has a marked up price of $85 in two shops. One offers a 14% discount and the other a discount of $10.65. Which is the better buy, and by how much? Pardon me. So the first one says, shop 1 was $85, but then it had a 14% discount, if you remember, over there. So I'm going to figure out 14% of $85. I figured that out to be $11.90. So I subtract those two amounts, and shop 1 is selling this particular thing for $73.10. Now shop 2 has a discount of a particular amount. This one is $10.65. So I just have to subtract, those two numbers, and I get $74.35. So if I look at the two prices now, I can see my red price, $73.10, is actually better. So shop 1 has the best price, and to figure that out, I just subtract the two prices, and I figure out that they are best, by $1.25. Last but not least, number 10, use the unitary method to find the original price of an item. Now this one was a bit tricky. I'm not too sure if we got to this one, but we'll have a go anyway. Now it says that it's advertised as having a saving of $2.50, which is the same as 20% off. So this means you actually have to figure out that means that 20% equals $2.50. Okay? So that question is telling me that if I saved $2.50 and that's worth a 20% discount, then 20% is worth $2.50. Now to figure out the original price, you have to find 100% worth. So I say to myself, how do I change 20% to 100%? Well, I know there are 5 20s in 100, so that's what I'm going to do. So if I multiply this by 5, 20 by 5 to get 100, I have to multiply $2.50 by 5. $2.50 by 5 gives me $12.50, and this turns out to be the answer, or the original amount. Alright, so what I want you to do now is I want you to have a go at further unitary method, discounts and pricing, okay, and then I'm going to put the answers up on the sheet. I'm going to go to bed now, okay, so I will talk to you and see you tomorrow. Bye.